Okay, so we did measurements yesterday, and today we are going to apply those concepts that we studied yesterday in these questions. So we're starting with the MCQs, and once we are done with these MCQs, we'll go to the theory section. Okay. So most of the questions from measurements are like very intuitive, like you don't have to do any working. So basically, let's look at these questions. You will get an idea. So the diagram shows a cathode ray oscilloscope trace of a sound wave. The time base is calibrated at 2 milliseconds per centimeter. What is the frequency of sound wave? Okay, so the thing is, I kept this topic for the questions because it would have been very difficult to explain it otherwise. A cathode ray oscilloscope is what we use to determine like the properties of a wave. Okay, we can use it for like different kinds of wave. In this case, they are using it for a sound wave. And they're saying the time
Yeah.
base is calibrated at 2 milliseconds per centimeter. This basically means that each block that you are seeing over here, each block represents 2 milliseconds. This is what this
Yes.
means. 2 milliseconds.
Mm.
Milliseconds per, okay, so this represents 2 milliseconds. Okay. Now they're asking, what is the frequency of sound wave? So do you know the formula for of frequency? Do you remember it?
Yeah, a frequency equal to 1 over T.
Frequency is equal to 1 over T. Exactly. So we know that F is equal to 1 over T. And what is T?
The time taken.
It is the time period. Okay, so
Time
whenever we are
period, yeah.
using capital T, it is the time period. That is the time for a wave to complete one oscillation. So basically, this time,
Hmm.
you see this time, this is one oscillation. And similarly, if you don't want to use this, you can use from here to this point. This is one oscillation again. Again, you see four blocks. If I start from over here, if I start over here, then this is one oscillation.
Yep.
Okay, so we are saying like there is one oscillation is almost four blocks. That basically means 1 centimeter is 2 milliseconds. So four blocks means 4 centimeter, which is 8 milliseconds. We'll multiply this with the total
One,
centimeters.
one into
So
the ratio.
this will give me 8 milliseconds. Clear? This is the time period of this wave.
Clear.
Last thing I need to do is I need to apply this formula. F is equal to 1 over T. I will take 1 over 0.008. Don't forget to change the unit. So when we are measuring frequency, always when we are doing any calculation, we have to do it in SI units. So we, instead of using 1 by 8, we will say 1
Hmm.
by 0.008. And the answer is 125 hertz. So this is the answer, 125 hertz. Okay,
This you converted milliseconds into what? Which unit?
milliseconds into seconds. So like milli
Oh,
basically means is equal to 10 into
right.
10 to the power of minus 3. That's what milli means, right?
3.
We did that in chapter 1,
Oh, yeah.
physical quantities. So this
Yeah.
is the milli unit. Okay, the prefix milli. So this is the first question. Now let's move on to the second one.
Right.
Again, the second one is also about the oscilloscope. The diagram shows a square wave trace on the screen of a cathode ray oscilloscope. A grid of 1 centimeter covers the screen. A grid of 1 centimeter square. So they are saying that this each square is 1 centimeter. Each of these squares, this is 1 centimeter. They're saying the time base
Hmm.
setting is 10 milliseconds per centimeter. 10 milliseconds per centimeter. What is the approximate frequency of the square wave? So how will you determine the frequency in this case? What do you think?
So we will apply the same formula, the one we did in previous question.
Yeah, we need to apply that. But the thing is, in this case, it is more difficult to find the frequency. Okay, so there are two ways. One way is less accurate, one way is going to be more accurate. So the first method is, if I look at this oscillation, one oscillation would be roughly around, like if I start from here, I will have to move over there like this. And I think this will be one oscillation, almost, right?
Mhm.
From
Right.
this point to this point. To me, it looks like it is one oscillation. And I know that this whole block, this is 10 milliseconds, right? So I can basically judge just by looking at it that this is almost 7 milliseconds or 8 milliseconds. If this block is 10 milliseconds, if this block, this is 10 milliseconds, then I can see from this diagram that this wave is almost 7 milliseconds or 8 milliseconds almost. So what I will do is I can use 7. So I will say 1 over time period will be 7 into, it is 7 milliseconds. So I will convert it into,
You mean,
yeah,
you mean that the one oscillation takes 7 milliseconds to complete
yeah,
rather than 10?
approximately.
Hmm.
Okay. So the answer that I'm getting is 142.8. So 142.9. So I can basically choose this option. This is the closest one. So we need approximate frequency. So I will choose this one. Okay. Now, if you want more accuracy in
Okay.
your answers, so this is also accurate. But if you want to go for like a more accurate method, what will you do in that case? So a good method will be like this. So let me clear this. In that case, what you will do is you will use more than one wave. So what does that mean?
Uh,
So let me show you. Um, so instead of using one wave now, I'm going to use more waves to increase my accuracy. I will use, let's
one
say
number.
I can
One
use
number.
this whole
Uh,
range. So how many waves are there? So
uh,
this is one, this
one.
is
This is one,
two,
two,
3, 4, and then we have 5,
six, seven, eight. Eight.
6, yep, 7, and then we have 8, and there is this corner over here, this little piece over here. We can say it is like
8.25.
8.5 waves. Okay. So there are eight and a
Eight
half
and a half.
waves. 8.5 waves. And what's the total time taken by
Then
those waves?
eight and
How many blocks are there? One, two, three,
mm,
four, five, six. 6 blocks. That means 8.5 waves took 60 milliseconds, right? Eight and a half
how did
waves
you get 60?
because there are 6 blocks. So this is one, two, three,
Uh,
4, 5, 6. So there are 6 blocks.
right.
So I can say it is 60 milliseconds. So what will be the time period for each wave? It will be
60.
basically 60 over 8.5. This will be T. This is not frequency, this is T.
Hmm.
60 over 8.5. This is still in milliseconds. Okay, we have not converted into seconds yet. 60 is in milliseconds, so the answer is
And
still
we
going
get
to be in
7.
milliseconds. So this is coming out to be 7.06 almost. It is
You,
7.058
then we,
actually in milliseconds. Okay,
and
in
then we will convert
milliseconds.
seconds to seconds and then
Yeah.
one per
So frequency will be
second.
1 over T,
Class.
and the answer will be
Yeah.
10 to the power of 3.
One.
Don't forget to change the unit. So yeah, it is coming out to be 141.6. So again, you see same answer. So you can choose either of these methods. Both are correct. Okay. So that's the
Yeah, we can
uh-huh.
go with method one that takes less
Yeah,
time.
that takes less time. Okay, I know that takes less time, but this one is actually more accurate. So you will see some questions when the options might be like a bit closer. In this case, the options are very far from each other. Like there is 70, then 140, then 280. There is a lot of you can say difference between the options. But let's say if the other option was 150 hertz, then you might be confused for one wave because you cannot judge it very accurately. So in that case, you'll have to do this method because this is more accurate. So you have to understand both of them,
Yeah.
okay? Okay. So now let's move on to the next one. A time based on a cathode ray oscilloscope is set at 6 milliseconds. A trace consisting of two pulses is recorded as shown in the diagram. What is the time interval between the two pulses? What is the time interval between the two pulses? How will you find this?
Time interval between two impulses.
What's the distance between those two impulses? Can you see the distance?
4.5.
4.5
Yeah, 4.5.
centimeters, right? And what's the time-based setting?
Time-based setting 2.5.
Time-based setting is 6. It is written on the top. 2.5 is not the
Where?
time-based setting.
Oh, I was looking at the circle. My bad. So we need to find t, and to find t, it will be 1/f.
Yeah, so sorry, I did not hear you in the middle of the sentence. Can you repeat?
So over here we need to find the time interval. So to find time interval, we can do 1/f.
Now, first thing, in this case, you don't need to, how will you find the frequency? If you are going with that method, how will you find the frequency then? We don't have any data for frequency. So this is a very direct method. Just there, what they're asking is find the time interval between these. Okay, they've told you that this is the 6 millisecond, 1 centimeter basically represents 6 milliseconds, and they've also told you that this distance is 4.5 centimeters. All you need to do is convert this into seconds using the time based setting. The time based setting basically it tells you how basically let me see. So time based setting basically tells you what does the centimeter, each centimeter on the oscilloscope on the CRO represents. So if you have, like, let's say blocks like this, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 block like this, time based setting basically tells you that this block is 6 milliseconds, then this block is also 6, same for the next one, 6, and then this one is, it is at a 4.5, so this will be 3. So total time will be 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 3. And a short way to do that will be by multiplying 6 with the distance, which is 4.5. In both of these cases you will get the same answer, and your answer will be 27. So 27 milliseconds will be the time interval between both of these waves. So the answer will be 27 milliseconds.
So to find the time interval in this case, we will do the time base times the distance given.
Yeah, exactly. So even in the first part we did the same thing. In the first parts we did the same thing. We used to find the frequency further. We can also use it this time to find the frequency, but you cannot find frequency directly from the graph. For to find frequency you need time. You cannot find time from frequency. Okay, so you have to understand that.
So this method can be only applied for this situation given.
Just you have to be careful, like if they're asking for time, find time. If they're asking for frequency, then find frequency. In both cases you have to find time
Right.
first. Okay, so yeah, that's the concept. So the answer in this case will be where's the pencil
This
again?
one.
Yeah, so this will be 27. This is the time interval between the pulses. So did you see that video that I sent you about the micrometer?
I will after this lesson. I was
Okay,
very
so
busy.
we cannot do this right now. If you watch the video, then you will, so you see, like, these type of questions, they usually ask these type of questions in the exam. That's why I told you to watch those videos. Okay, so whenever you find the time now, watch them. Okay, so let's skip this one for now. Let's do this one. The diagram, question number 8. The diagram shows two pulses on the screen of a cathode ray oscilloscope. A grid of 1 centimeter square covers the screen. So each of these, the length of each of these squares is 1 centimeter. So basically what this means is like this dimension, this is 1 centimeter, and this dimension, this is also 1 centimeter. Okay. The time-based setting is 1 microsecond per centimeter. So each centimeter represents 1 microsecond. So if I ask you to find the how, so they're asking how long does each pulse last? How will you find this? This is very similar to the last one we did. How long does each pulse last?
From there to there. 2.
So yeah, it will be 2. So how will we do that? The reasoning is, okay, let me explain it like this. So you see from
Because
here,
one is 1 microsecond and the other is 1
exactly,
microsecond. So
exactly,
1.
exactly. So there are 2 blocks. So we can see that this wave, this pulse lasts for 2 blocks on the CRO. And we know that each block represents 1 microsecond. So there are 2 blocks and each block represents 1 microsecond. So 2 into 1 will be 2 microseconds. So we will do this option. Okay. Yeah, we can do this one. Okay, let me see if there's, what's the fifth one? The fifth one is, okay. So the fifth one is quite conceptual. So look at this one. The following trace is seen on the screen of cathode or oscilloscope. This setting, okay, let me see if I can remove this. Okay, this setting of the time base is then changed to 10 millisecond per centimeter to 20 millisecond per centimeter, and the Y sensitivity is unaltered. What does that mean? That basically means that in the previous case, each block was representing 10 milliseconds, but now the sensitivity is changed and each block now
20.
represents 20 milliseconds. So basically if I,
It's
and the
been increased
Y
to
sensitivity is
20.
on Y sensitivity is not changed. So basically Y will go to this height, like it will still be at this height, but X will be changed. How will X change? Now I'll show you. So there can be a couple of changes to X. Either it will,
What do you mean by sensitivity?
sensitivity means like what does each block represent? That's what they mean. Like what does each block represent? In previous case, each
Uh,
block represented 10 milliseconds. So on the X side, this was
mm,
this was 10 milliseconds initially, but now they changed it and now it is 20.
no,
Okay, so now there are two ways
right.
in which this graph can change. The Y sensitivity is the same, the Y block is still the same. So there are two ways. Either it can go like this, the graph can go like this, or the graph will go like this. Now we have to decide which will it be. Like this. So for that, you will have to think about it. So in the previous case, each block was representing 10 milliseconds. Now each block is representing 20 milliseconds. So if you think about it, everything that was happening in two blocks in the first case is now happening in one block. So if you look at this, like this was 20 milliseconds initially. Initially, this was 20 milliseconds, right?
Mm,
From this point to this point. Now they are saying after
right.
they have changed it, this will be done in one block. So this will be compressed. So
Yes.
this will become like this. The graph will become like this. Then this part that was happening in 20 milliseconds, this will be again compressed and this will become like this. Then so on. The frequency, like you will see this will be your new pattern on the screen after you make that setting, after you change the setting. So this will be your,
Why
because
it
everything that
became
was,
half like
yeah,
this?
no, like everything that was happening in two blocks is now happening in one block. So at first, one block was representing 10 milliseconds. Now one block is representing 20 milliseconds. So double stuff is happening basically. So if, let me explain again. So if So if you, this is the initial case, this graph that is shown right now, this is the initial case. From here we can see that in 20 seconds, 20 milliseconds, this was happening, right? In 20 seconds
Right.
this happens. Now we have to show it in
Yes.
such a way that this happens in one block. So this happens in one block like this.
Oh,
Okay, because we have
yes.
compressed the graph basically.
Mm.
Okay, so if this was like, let's say if it was changed from 10 milliseconds to 30 milliseconds, or let's say 40 milliseconds, what if it was changed to 40 milliseconds? Then in that case we'll see this much stuff was happening in 40 milliseconds, right? Now 40
Yeah.
milliseconds is just one block. So in that case we will show 40 milliseconds like this, if 40 milliseconds was one block, just in case if this was like 40. If this was 40, then this would be the case. But right now it is 20, so we don't need to draw it. So in this case, our graph will basically look like this,
Hmm.
and so on. Okay. So now we'll look at the options and we'll see which one is the most closest. So if we look at the options, well, you can see like obviously it is C. C is the one that is the closest to the one that we have drawn. So we'll go with option.
Yeah. But there were two frequencies shown as it's not double, so it would be four.
What? Sorry, can you repeat?
Like from they changed it from 10 to 20, and there were there were two number of frequencies shown in that graph. Now I doubled it, and it would be four.
Um, no, the frequency will still remain the same. So the thing is, frequency will still remain the same because the time period is the same. Are you asking about the frequency of the wave? Like how will the frequency change?
No, I mean with the number of waves.
I'm sorry. Like, can you repeat? Like, I don't think I understand your question.
No, everything is clear. Good.
No, like you can ask me if you want.
No, I was saying that it changed from 10 to 20, and there were number of waves in that graph were two. And as it's now doubled from 10 to 20, and over here it would be from 2 to 4.
Yeah, exactly,
So see,
exactly. So yeah, that's one way to understand it. Yeah, perfect. So you see, that's then you understand it now. That means you are understanding basically that initially there were two waves on the graph, but since we have increased the time, now this graph is representing more time. So basically there are more waves. Exactly. Perfect. So yeah,
yeah.
absolutely correct. So this is the next one. The deflection of the needle of an ammeter varies with current passing through the ammeter as shown in the graph. So as current is increasing, this is the deflection. It is not increasing linearly, it is increasing like this. Which diagram could represent the appearance of the scale of this meter? So we have these diagrams. Now let me explain what this means. So let's assume a case if this was linear. In that case, we could go with this one, right? Because one unit would represent one ampere of current. So basically, if this was linear, then this, like, let's say if this is one, this would be one. If this is two, this would be two. In case of linear graphs, that's what happens. If this is three, then this would have been also three over here. And in that case, we could have used this graph, which is linear. But now the thing is, our graph is not linear. The deflection is increasing with current. So if you see over
Yeah,
here,
it is
as
non-uniform.
okay, so at first you will see the deflection is increasing a bit very quickly. So from here to here, there was this much increase in deflection, right? So at the
Hmm.
start, the deflection is more. But then if you consider that the change in deflection between this and this point, the change is very little, like only this.
Yeah.
So the deflection is decreasing with time. So if you look at these options, then we'll see that A seems the most accurate one. Why? Because in A, the deflection is most at the start. If you look between 0 and 1, there is more deflection. And then if you look at the end, the deflection is decreasing. So
Hmm.
because
But the
uh-huh.
same goes with linear graph you said right now.
No, for linear graphs, this won't decrease. So the 5 would be here, the 5 would be here, 6 would be over here, 7 would be over here, like this.
They will be
For
uniform.
if this was linear, the axis would not change.
Hmm.
Okay, so in this case, the basically you can see that deflection is decreasing with time, decreasing with current. So as current increases, deflection decreases. So only axis that is comfortable with this change, with this deflection, that is basically A. In A, the deflection is most at the start, and then as we move towards the end, the deflection keeps on decreasing. So you see the needle, if there is a needle over here, the needle will have to deflect very little to go from 8 to 9. And we can see that from here. So if 8 is over here and 9 is over here, so you see that deflection is very little. So this, using this axis in A, will allow us to measure the current accurately basically. So this will be A. So you okay. So this is another type of question. When a 12-volt 50 hertz supply, so this is the reverse kind of question now. Initially what we did was they gave us the time base, they gave us the graph, we used to have to calculate the frequency. Now what they've done is they've given us the frequency. Now they want us to find the time base. Time base, like what does each block represent? What does this represent? That's what they want to ask. Okay.
When we use the so we need to find the time base f is equal to 1 over t.
Okay.
So
So
time base would 1 over f.
no, that is the time period. We will use that formula to find the time period. So yeah, you are in the right direction. First we'll use 1 over f. So we know that t is basically equal to 1 over f. And what is f? F is
Uh,
50. So t will be equal to
yeah.
0.02 is equal to, let's say, 1 by 50, because frequency is 50. So this will be equal to 0.02 seconds, or this is in seconds, or 20 milliseconds. This is the time period. Okay.
So 20 milliseconds. That's
So
d.
that means that this should be this part over here. This represents 20 milliseconds. Do you understand this point? Because t is the time period of a wave, time taken by the wave to complete one oscillation, and this is the time taken by the wave to
Yeah.
complete one oscillation. So how many blocks are there in this region? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what does each block represent? So if these 8 blocks represent 20 milliseconds, then each block represents, the time base setting of each block is 20 over 8, and that will be
Which is
2.5. So our answer in this case will be 2.5.
and let's move on.
Okay. So you see, we are not doing any questions of the uncertainties, because they are, I think, at the later portion of this chapter. We will come to those two. So let's do this type of question. Okay, I wanted to do this one. Where is it starting? Yeah. So this is the question I wanted to do. Question number 12. The diagram shows the graduations of a correctly calibrated ammeter. When the current is 0, the pointer is at 0. The ammeter is accidentally readjusted so that when the current is 0, the pointer is at x. Okay. So the ammeter is adjusted in such a way so that when the current is 0, the pointer is at x. So let's see what that means. Okay, so this is the new graph. So when pointer is at 0, this is at x. Now they want us to find let's see what they want us to find. They want us to find the accurate graph. Like what would be the accurate graph in this case? So what we see is deflection is more at the start and it is decreasing towards the end, right? So
Oh,
what will we do? What do you think?
mm, so it would be B.
So first thing we need to decide is whether so we know that the graph is starting from x now. It is not starting from 0, it is starting from x. That's the first thing that we know, right? And they have said
Yeah.
that x is actually 0. So basically when the line is at x, it means it is actually 0. That means there is already a little deflection. Even though the current is 0, there is already a deflection. So it will be either this one. If you see over here, when the current is 0, there is a deflection, or it is this one.
Hmm.
Okay, it can be either of
I
these
think
cases.
it would be A.
Wait, sorry. No. Sorry. At 0, at 0, there is a deflection. Yeah, this is okay. So this one or this
A.
one. Now you have to consider if it is A or B. Why A? Why do you think A?
Because the difference between 1 and 2 would suit A. Then the difference between B would be less.
Okay, so the reason is basically that in A, we can see from this calibration that as current is increasing, the difference between these digits is decreasing. The distance between 1 and
Hmm.
2 is greater than the distance between 4 and 5. So if we look at these graphs, so let's say 1 is over here and 2 is over here. I can see that there is more deflection between these two than if there are two digits over here. Like if 4 is over here and 5 is over here. I can see that the deflection has decreased. Now the deflection is only this, right? However, on the other side in B, the deflection is less over here. There is less deflection over here and more deflection at the end. And there is more deflection at the end. If B was true, if B was true, then in that case, it would look like this. So it will be 0 over here, 1 over here, 2, 3, and then 4 somewhere over here. This would be the case if B was true. But since the deflection is decreasing, as current is increasing, we will go with A. So option A is the correct option.
Oh,
Okay? Okay, perfect.
yeah.
And this is the type of question I wanted to do. Okay, let's do this one. 13. The diagram shows an oscilloscope screen displaying two signals. Okay, so X and Y are two signals. Signal X has a frequency of 50 Hertz and a peak voltage of 12 volts. What is the period and peak voltage of signal Y? So, frequency again. If I want to find the frequency, I know that frequency is the number of waves completed per unit time. Just by looking at this graph, I can see that the frequency of both X and Y are equal. So if you see from here, the time taken by X to complete one wave is from here to this point. This is for X, right? Like from this
Right.
point, this is one oscillation. This is one oscillation. And same for Y, it is starting from the same point and it is ending at the same point. So the frequency for both of them is the same. Frequency is 50 for them. So it is either this one or it is this one. Now, how will we find the peak voltage? To do that, first we need to see the peak voltage of X. So they've told us the peak voltage of X is 12. This means that this represents 12 volts. This represents 12 volts. So what does each block represent? If three blocks represent 12 blocks, then
One
one
plus
block
one is
represents
4.
4 volts basically. And we can see that the peak voltage of Y, if I erase this, you can see that the peak voltage of Y is just one block. So this is the peak voltage of Y, right?
Hmm.
This is the peak voltage of X. So the peak voltage of Y will be 4 volts. So in this case, this will be false and this one will be true. So I will go with option C.
Why did we took 3 blocks for this?
Because the peak voltage is the maximum voltage and it is maximum from this axis. So this is the zero line. This is the zero line. You will do this in waves. So this is the zero line, right?
Yeah.
And from here you will,
Right.
you can, this is the maximum. This is the maximum voltage over here.
Okay.
This is 3 blocks away from this, and they have said that this is 12 volts. So 3 blocks basically represent 12 volts. So we can see from here that one block basically represents 4 volts. Is it clear?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Let me just raise this one over. Okay. Let's do question number 11. This one is similar to this one that we just did. So an oscilloscope display consists of 2 separate traces away from and along horizontal line. So this is the, this is the first trace. Okay, this is the first wave, you can say. This is the wave and this is the horizontal line. So these are the two things that you can see on this oscilloscope. This oscilloscope is showing two things right now. Okay. Now let's see what they want to ask. What are the period and peak positive? Okay, so let's read the question first. The horizontal line may be taken as the zero level. So this horizontal line, this is the zero level. Let me draw with this color. So this is the 0 point. 0. Okay. Now they're saying the grid on the screen is calibrated in centimeter squares. The time base setting is 2.5 milliseconds per centimeter. This means the time base is always x-axis. This means that this 1 centimeter block basically represents 2.5 milliseconds. And then the y sensitivity, it means the y, not meter per second, it is milliseconds. And then the y sensitivity, this means the y-axis. This means that each block like this represents 5 millivolts. Okay. Now they want us to find the period and the peak voltage. So first, to find the period, I know that one way to find the period can be, if I start from over here, go along this wave with over here, come to this point. This is one complete wave. After that, it is repeating again, right?
Right.
This is one repeating one. So I can see that there are roughly 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. So these are 4 blocks. And I know that each block represents 2.5 milliseconds. So I will do 4 into 2.5 milliseconds. And this will give me 10 milliseconds. So the period will be 10 milliseconds. So it is either this one or this one. Now peak positive voltage. The peak positive voltage is this voltage basically. This voltage. This is the peak positive voltage. So if this is the zero line, how many blocks are there between this and this? So there is this 1 block, 2 block. I can say almost 3.5 blocks, right? Almost 3.5 blocks. I can say, right?
1 represents 5, so 15, 17. Peak voltage would be 17.
So it will be 3.5 into 5. Let me see. So 3.5 into 5. Yeah, so it will be exactly 17. So this will be wrong. And we know that this is the C is the answer. Okay. So I hope it is clear.
Why you took 4 horizontal blocks?
4 horizontal blocks, because if you, so time period, they want us to find the period. So period is for one wave. Period is always for one wave. So if I see from this point to, if I go along this wave, it is one wave up till here. After that it is repeating. This is basically a new wave. You can see this is again repeating. So this is the second one, and then this will be third one over there, like this. Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
That's why I took 4 blocks, because 4 blocks represented the length of one repeating unit. You have to find the length of one repeating unit basically. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So let's move down now. Okay, let's do 16. We can do 16. Which formula could be correct for the speed v of ocean waves in terms of density rho of seawater, the acceleration of free fall g, the depth h of the ocean, and the wavelength lambda? Now in this one, you don't have to be an actual physicist to find this. What they actually want to know is, you remember we did like in the first chapter, we did like when we have to balance the units on both sides of equation. This is basically the
Yeah.
same thing. So how will I
Yeah.
do it? Basically, I know that the unit on V is meter per second, right? If I look at the
Right.
first option, I have meter per second on the left. On the right side, I have square root of the unit of gravity is meter second minus 2 multiplied by multiplied by meter again. So this will be under root meter square second minus 2, and this is giving me meter per second. So
Mm.
I don't need to do the rest of them. I know that the first one is correct, so I will just go with it. Okay, just by doing this, we know that this is correct. If we do the other ones, we'll see they are wrong. They are all wrong. So we will just go with this one, g lambda. We balance the unit on both sides. So this was the unit that we got on the left side, and this was the unit that we got on the right side.
Mm.
Both of them are equal. So yeah, A is correct. Okay, this question number 17, you cannot do it right now because it is. Let me read. Yeah, I think we can do this one. Okay, so the student measures the time t for a ball to fall from rest through a vertical distance h, knowing that the equation h is equal to 1/2 gt square applies. The student plots the graph shown. So if you look at this equation, I can see that h is proportional to t, right? And when t is
Mm.
0, h should be 0, right?
Mm.
But the thing
Right.
is, it is not 0. If it was 0, it should be passing through this point. The graph should look like this, but it is not looking like this. It is passing from a different point over here.
Oh, okay.
So this is an error, and we remember which kind of error it is. We did two types of errors, right? Do you remember? One was
Yeah.
random error, the other was systematic error. This
Mm.
is, which one is this?
Systematic.
This is actually, yeah, systematic error. So because why is it systematic error? Because it is giving us a totally wrong reading. This is
Mm.
passing through a totally.
There, the
uh
no fixed values.
No, I will tell you. So random error is basically, if I ask you like what is being caused by the random error here. So if you see these fluctuations, like these points are little, like some points are a bit up from the line and some points are a bit down from the line. You see this?
Mm.
Like some points they are fluctuating. This is
Mm.
because of random errors, as shown by the name. As we can see
Mm.
from the name, this is because of random errors, because they are random. So some points are up, some points are down.
Mm.
Systematic error is the one that is consistent. So because of systematic error, all points that should be over here, they are all pushed to the right.
The one shown in the graph is random error, right?
There are both of them
Both
in
of
the
them.
graph. So this fluctuation, this is
The-
because of random errors. This fluctuation, this is because of random errors. And this movement, this is because of systematic error.
uh,
Okay, is this clear? So basically, whenever there is a change in the, let's say, in the y-intercept, it is because of a systematic error. Like if you
yeah.
remember, we did that example of zero error. So basically, if you have a scale like this, if you have a scale like this, let's say, that starts from 1 instead of 0, and goes like this. Let's say it is 3 over here. And if I use this scale to take a reading of something, my answer will be always short by 1 centimeter. So if the actual length
Mm,
is 2.3 centimeter, I will get 3.3 centimeter on my scale, right?
yeah.
All my readings will be wrong. So in this case, you can see the y-intercept is moved. So basically all the points on the line are equally affected by this systematic error. So this is, if the y-intercept of the line moves, it means that there is some systematic error. If the points move randomly like this, then it means only random error. Okay, so in a case where there was only random error, the graph would look like this. So let me show you what would the graph look like in that case. If there was only random error, um, yeah, so if there was only random error, then my graph would look like this basically, and the points on this graph would be like this. This would be the case
If it's only random error.
if it's only random error. Okay, but now I have both random and systematic now. So if it was both, if it was only systematic error, what would be the case in what would we get in that case? If it was only systematic, if there was no random error.
The points will not
Let me
be
see if I get,
uneven like in random.
let me just remove this. So if it was only systematic error, then in that case we will get this line, we will get this line, but all the points would be on the line. So all the points will be like this on the line perfectly. In this case,
Yeah.
there would be no random error, only systematic error. Okay,
Mm,
we
yes.
can see from a diagram that they have given us. So let me show you the diagram now. So this is shifted, so there is systematic error, and the points are fluctuating, so there is random error. So there are both of them. Now let's look at the question. The question is, which of the following is an
I,
explanation of the
wait,
y-intercept?
why it's systematic?
Because it is moved from the origin.
It's not on the region.
According to the equation, it should have through the origin, but due to some error, all the points are moved away by some unit. Okay,
Mm,
so that's why it is a systematic error, because it is equal, it is carrying equally in all of our readings.
mm,
Okay, so they're asking which of the following is an explanation for the y-intercept of the intercept of the t-axis. They're asking why, how would you explain that instead of um, going through this point, why is the graph going through this point? The reason for
mm,
that, let's read the reason. So first reason is air resistance has not been taken into account. So air resistance does not cause systematic error. If air resistance is affecting your readings, it would affect them randomly. It would not affect them by a constant amount. So this is false. Air resistance can be a cause of random errors, but it cannot be a cause of systematic errors. Option B is there is a constant delay between starting the timer and releasing the ball. If you look at this one makes sense. There is a constant delay, because
mm.
if there is a constant delay, in that case all your readings will move ahead, all your readings will move ahead. And if you have a line originally that was going to be like this, it will move ahead and it will become this line basically. So this one
Yeah.
basically makes sense. This one can be a cause of systematic error. If you see the other ones, there is an error in the timer that consistently makes it run fast. There is an error in the timer that consistently. So if you see, if this was the case, if the timer was running fast, what would happen in that case? Okay, let's see. Uh, okay, so if the timer was running fast, in that case, we would get less time. So our graph will be shifted to this side. This would be our graph in that case, because time will be
Uh,
reduced. So if the time is over here, in that case, the time will go over there. It will be reduced like this.
mm,
So that's why this one is wrong too. And option D is the student should have plotted the graph of h against t square. So even if the student had plotted the graph of h against t square, even in that case, if there was no other error, the graph should have passed through the origin. because gt square, again this equation has no y-intercept. So if it was against t square, even in that case, the graph would have been more correct. But since it is not passing through the origin, we know that this one is also false. So there is only one option that is correct, and that is option B. Okay. So these were some pretty old questions from like quite. I think these past papers are really old because I can see this November 02. And the questions that you get now, they are still very similar to these ones. So don't think like these are not important. The questions that you will get now, they will be very similar. A level hasn't changed much over the last years. O level like has become a lot more easier. A level is still quite the same. Okay. So yeah, I'd say I'll stop the recording.
Which of the following